गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं चर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्लीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Everybody repeat Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay, we are in the second half of the 11th house. Page number 230 in Santanam's version, chapter 24, and verse number is 127. Labhe shedara bhavasthe labho darakulat sada udarascha guni kami jano bharya vashanugah. Okay. Labhe shedara bhavasthe. If the 11th Lord is in the 7th house, Labho Darakulat Bhavet. There will be profits, gains from the Darakula, means from the family of the wife, of spouse. Spouse's family results in some gains for the person. Udarascha Guni Kami. Udarascha means he is liberal. He liberally gives to people. He is a giver. Guni means he has good character, good virtuous person. Kami means somebody full of desires. Jano Bharya Vashanugaha. Jano means person, such a person. Bharya Vashanugaha means he is well controlled by the wife, basically. Bharya Vashanugaha means somebody who is controlled well by the wife, by the spouse. Now let's pass each of them. If the 11th Lord is in the 7th house, why is there gains from the wife's family? The 11th Lord's agenda is to give gains somehow or the other, by hook or crook. That is his agenda. And the 7th house is the house occupied by him, so he has access to 7th house matters.
So the surroundings are the spouse and family.
Yes, the resources available to the 11th Lord for giving gains is wife, family, external interactions, business. So many things are there for 7th house, but one of the things is wife and her family, etc. So this is a possibility, basically.
Wife is okay, but why her family? Something?
7th house in general in the horoscope shows wife and things associated with the wife. Just like 3rd house shows your brother and things associated with him, brother's friends. In general, when you are, see, the thing is, if there is a friend of your brother, and then you got to know him because he is your brother's friend, and then you also become friend, you guys do business, that's different. But the thing is, suppose something happened simply because of your brother. Suppose your brother is the central piece there. Then, even if it is a brother's friend, you don't say 3rd house is brother, 11th from there is the brother's friend, so Lagna shows brother's friend. It's not like that. From your point of view, whatever happened, that happened because of brother. So 3rd house will still show things. Brother's wife, brother's in-laws. If something happened in your life because of them, like a business venture or success or some strife, whatever it is in your life, it is coming through the 3rd house.
But, okay.
Yes.
I was thinking we'll take from, in this case, family from 2nd house, from 7th, because
you can do that, but the thing is, then you are actually trying to be specific about wife's family. What's happening to them? If you want to see what's happening to them, and the thing is, what you said is right. If the if the second from seventh is also important to see wife's family. So if the 11th lord is there, maybe there is lot of interaction, lot of gains from them. But the thing is, 7th house also can show. Just as you take the qualifiers from the house, 7th house itself is basically wife. So anything relating to wife is shown from the 7th house. So it can be wife's family or wife's, for all you know, wife's friend, wife's somebody who has to do, maybe wife's colleague. Basically, from your point of view in your life, that person's influence is through wife. Gateway is wife. Udarascha, he is a giver. Why is he a giver?
Because he gets.
Gets from whom? Gets from whom? I mean, 11th lord always gives, but the thing is, 11th lord always gives. So wherever 11th lord is, the person will get. From who? From what? How much? That is the question. But 11th lord will only make the person get. So simply because of that, you can't say he is a giver. What? How shows? Swami? I know. Seshu just said Atasam Alludanam Jayam, which means in Telugu, basically the mother-in-law's property, son-in-law is basically donating, giving away freely, which basically means giving away somebody else's money because it's not yours. Which house shows being liberal, being a giver? What is the house of giving? 12th house. Yeah, this is where we missed Mitnala. He would immediately, always, for some reason, everybody remembers some certain things well, but whenever I say which is the house of giving, he is the first one to say 12th house. Mitnala. Mitnala Ramakrishna, who is absent today. He is very fast somehow with that house. Anyway, so the house of giving is 12th house. Now with respect to 12th house, how is this planet? Is he well placed, badly placed? What is the situation? Because there has to be something with respect to 12th house for this planet to indicate a giver. Is the planet well placed from the 12th house or badly placed? How is it placed, first of all? 12th lord in the 8th house. From the 12th house, this is the 12th lord in the 8th house. Is it a good placement or not? It's a Viparit Rajoga. Right? A Dusthana lord in another Dusthana. So basically, he is giving a Viparit Rajoga with respect to giving. So there is a good chance that he will be a big giver. Now, he may hesitate to give in the beginning or something because he wants to gain money. The agenda of this planet is to make the person gain money, not spend it. But once the hesitation is overcome, he will give big. That is what the meaning of the Vichitra Yoga is. Udarascha guni. He has gunas. Guni means, literally it means having gunas. It can mean good character, good virtues. It can mean many things. Let us see what is a plausible interpretation of guni. What are the kind of, can he have a good character, good sense of dharma? What do you see? What do you see? From the 9th house of dharma and sense of right and wrong, how is this planet placed?
9th house, this is the 3rd lord.
3rd lord in 11th house. Is it a good placement or bad?
Good placement.
It's a good placement. It's again basically one bad house lord in another bad house. One Upjaya and also one Upjaya lord in another Upjaya. So it shows growth, big growth in dharma. So he is a dharmic person. So Guni here basically means dharmic. Somebody who is virtuous. Kami, he has desires. Why does he see? Santanam's translation is sensuous. That is also possible, but in general, Kami basically means desire, having desires. It can be relating to sensuality or it can be relating to various other things. Bottom line is he has a lot of desires. Can be for success in business, can be for material prosperity. So it doesn't have to be for physical pleasures, but he has some desires. Kami means desireful, full of desires. Why is he full of desires?
Because being in the 7th house, he has a direct aspect on the Lagna.
Okay.
Lagna itself.
Always any planet in the 7th house has a direct aspect on Lagna, right? But more importantly, 7th house, right?
In this case, is 11th lord.
11th lord in 7th house. One Kamatrikona lord in another Kamatrikona. 7th house is the house of desire. And the 11th house is the house of fulfillment of desires. So when there is a link between any two Kamatrikonas, the planet will make the Kama higher. So the person has a lot of desires, and also there is a good chance that he will fulfill his desires. Now, the last one, Bharya Vashanugaha. He is well controlled by wife. Why? Why is he well controlled by wife? I mean, it could mean many things. When we say well controlled by wife, actually, literally the word's meaning is bharya vacha anugaha, means somebody who goes into the control of wife. So it can mean that wife is cruel or commanding. It can also mean somebody who understands the wife's heart and who behaves in such a way that she is happy. Somebody who makes wife happy also is a possible interpretation of this. So should be what is the meaning of this? Does it mean wife controls him, wife is a control freak, or is he somebody who's very nice to wife and makes wife happy?
Either way the result is same, right?
Maybe.
It is a different path, but the result is same.
Not necessarily. In one case, wife is trying to control, neither may be happy. In the other case, if somebody is trying to please the wife is happy.
The second way, sir.
Okay, why?
From the 7th house.
Okay, so instead of seeing from the Lagna, he is looking from the 7th house. Because from Lagna there isn't anything really special going on. It doesn't show somebody subservient or anything. It only shows, being the 11th Lord in the 7th house, he has a lot of desires. And he is good in dealing with people, including wife. Because 11th house is the house of friendship, 7th house is the house of relationship, wife, etc. So the house of the planet whose agenda is friendship is in the house of interactions. So in general, he is a dexterous handler of people. He is somebody who deals with people very nicely, very suavely. So the thing is, such a person getting into a weird situation of wife beating him up or wife trying to hit him, it doesn't arise. So he knows how to handle wife smoothly. So he is looking at wife's point of view now. How is from the 7th house? This is 5th Lord in Lagna. So is wife emotionally happy, or how is wife's emotional stability? 5th Lord in Lagna is very good. 5th Lord of emotional stability and Purvapunya in Lagna. So wife is happy. So wife is very happy and stable. She is she has a pleasant time, and the person is also very good in talking to people. So here, Bharya Vasanagha doesn't mean somebody who's commanded by the wife, who's a control freak, but somebody who's keeps wife happy. Somebody who knows how to deal with the wife, and wife is very happy.
Agriculture with the wife.
Secondly, if I'm getting profits from wife,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I listen to her?
Okay, that is the motivational aspect of it, right? So basically, somebody who has a very pleasant relationship with wife both the ways. He gets his profits. His agenda is profits, he gets profits. And wife's agenda is, what is the wife's agenda? From the point of view of this planet, what is wife's agenda? I mean, what aspect of wife is the agenda of this planet? 5th house. Her emotional state, basically. So that is the agenda. So he will give her that emotional happiness. And from the agenda of this person, his agenda is gains. He will get what he wants. And wife is happy. Wife feels cared for. So anyway, let's move on to the next verse. लाभेशे रन्ध्रभावस्थे हानिः कार्येषु जायते तस्यायुश्च भवेद् दीर्घम् प्रथमम् मरणम् स्त्रियः. लाभेशे रन्ध्रभावस्थे. If the 11th Lord is in the 8th house, हानिः कार्येषु जायते. In his works, there are some problems. Problem happens in his works. Tasyayuscha bhaved dirgham. His longevity will be very long. He will be long-lived. Prathamam maranam striyaha. First his wife will die. First death will be wife's. Which means he will live longer. He will be a widower. He will live longer than his wife. Okay. Why? First let us see the first one. Why is there trouble in his works? Well, the 11th Lord, whose agenda is to give him gains and fulfillment of his desires, he is in the 8th house of tensions, troubles, anxiety. So the thing is, as we have seen earlier, any planet who is in the 8th house, he is told to give some tensions and anxiety, but he wants to give success. So a planet who wants to give you success and gains, if he is placed in a house where his job is to give you tensions, troubles, etc., which means there will be some problem in fulfilling your desires. There will be some breaks at least. It will not be a smooth ride. At the end it may all be fine. If the planet is strong, suddenly everything may work out. But he has to go through some tensions That is the bottom line. So things won't happen smoothly. His works will be a little bit tense. Tasya is to bhave dirgham. He has a long life. Why does he have a long life?
8th house is house of longevity.
Right?
And 11th lord of gain.
Yeah. So he has to give gains. His job is to give some kind of gain, some kind of fulfillment of desire, relating to whichever house he is in. If he is in 5th house, he will give scholarship, children, etc. If he is in 6th house, he will give enemies and desires, enemies and obstacles. If he is in 7th house, he will give good wife and also gains from wife's family, from wife, business with wife, etc. And also gains in business. We haven't said that in the previous verse, but it also, 11th Lord in 7th can also mean gains in business. It is very good for business. Anyway, now coming back to 8th house, somehow, some signification of 8th house which is positive, there can be gains in that. And longevity is one of them. Sadhana, longevity, this kind of things. He can give gains in that. So he can have good life. Moreover, taking the 8th house of longevity as Lagna, this planet is 4th Lord in Lagna. 4th Lord in Lagna is a good placement. Kendra Lord in a Lagna. So from the 8th house also this planet is fine. There is no problem. So looking at those things, we can conclude that he will be long lived just based on this factor. Now the next verse is, next phrase is, first his wife will die. Why is he longer lived than his wife? Why is he longer lived than wife?
Long living, some wife means it is, wife is.
Wife will die but he will still live. So basically he has a higher longevity than wife. I mean, is this planet showing excellent long life for the wife? That is the bottom line. From the 7th house of spouse, how is this planet? 5th Lord of Purpunya, that is good, but he is in the second house, Margasthana. So, depending on other things, he can give death to wife. Bottom line is, he is in Margasthana. He is not really showing long life for the wife. On the other hand, he is showing long life for the person. So the thing is, in general, planets in the 8th house, they are in Margasthana for the, they are in the Ayusthana for the native, but in the Margasthana for the wife. So basically, he can show longer life for the native than for the wife.
11th Lord in the 8th house, can it indicate any kind of lottery related?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. 11th Lord gives gains, 8th house is inheritance, lottery, etc. So some sudden gains are possible. Suddenly one day he can win a lottery. Or he can actually suddenly somebody can say, oh, you got $1 million. Of course, these days those mails come, but those are not real. Those are all
From Africa gets $1 million.
right. Somebody in England, somebody in Namibia, somebody in Nigeria, Africa. Those people send mails saying, you have to send your social security number, your name, your phone number, all the details, and then you will get the inheritance of a few $1 million. So we are not talking about that. So anyway, so it can really happen, even though it's a scam these days, it's a scam these days. Really, somebody can suddenly inherit $1 million, a big amount of money. So that kind of windfall, either in a lottery or a inheritance, is also possible. That is definitely a possible.
11th Lord can also show friends.
Yes.
So 8th house shows problems.
Mhm.
So can we combine?
It can show problems in friendship. It can also show somebody who works hard for friends. Because his agenda is 11th house, friendship. So he wants to promote friendship and do something for friends. And 8th house is hard work. So it can show somebody who works hard for friends, who's a karma yogi and he's always working for his friends. That is a possibility. Another possibility is from the 11th house itself as Lagna. Right? Taking friends as Lagna. This planet is Lagna Lord in 10th house. So it shows very powerful friends who are in a who have a very good status in society, who have very good respect in society because of the work that they do. So that is also possible. There are so many possible results.
Why is that? That's because he is
From the 11th house as Lagna. Lagna Lord in 10th house.
Lord in 10th.
So it can show Lagna Lord in 10th in general is a good placement. 10th house is the house of honor, respect, the work that you do. So it is somebody who has friends who are very productive and who do good work in society. Okay.
I have this.
For me?
I have this. I have Venus.
Uh-huh.
My 11th Lord Venus is in 8th house.
11th Lord Venus is in?
8th house.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So you have this actually. You are long lived. You live longer than your wife. But in problems, there'll be problems in his work. And then...
Problems in work.
And then...
I'll be 90. That's why I don't take insurance. Life insurance.
you don't have?
I don't have extra life insurance.
Okay.
And,
Actually, in your case, it's not just 11th Lord. 6th Lord is 8 also. So he's very well placed.
and also the other thing is there's a tendency for gambling.
Uh-huh.
Because
Yeah. There is a chance of gains in
gambling
gambling.
and 11th Lord in this.
There is a chance of success in gambling.
And also I lose. So there is a tendency and that,
But there is a chance of one day suddenly gaining.
that's the hope.
Also, you can show powerful friends. Maybe they are not in this room, but in general, having good friends. Friends who do good work basically, 10th house. Now the next verse is Labhe se bhagya bhavasthe bhagyavan jayate narah chaturah satyavadi cha rajapujo dhanadipah. Labhe se bhagya bhavasthe. If the 11th Lord is in the house of fortune, in the 9th house, bhagyavan jayate narah, he is fortunate. Chaturaha means he is clever, skillful. Satyavadi cha. Who has it? Who has it? He has it, okay. Chaturaha, skillful. Satyavadi cha, truthful. Rajapujo, respected by kings. Dhanadhipaha, owner of wealth. Of course, everybody is owner of wealth. The question is how much. But the fact that he mentioned that means owner of good amount of wealth.
So you can ask him for loan.
You can try. But just now he found out that you have 11th Lord in the 8th house, so he knows that you will put it in stock, so he won't give you. Because he is chatura, he is clever, skillful.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, let's pass each of them. If the 11th Lord is in the 9th house, he is fortunate. Why is he fortunate? Well, there is a gain of fortune. The 11th Lord of gains is the house of fortune, so he will give gains relating to that.
He is also aspecting 11th house.
What are you talking about?
Will he? No.
You have an example in your mind where 11th Lord is probably Saturn or somebody.
Yeah, right.
Saturn?
No.
Hmm.
I was just thinking about something.
Okay, fine.
I was just thinking about
Yeah, if he is Saturn, he will have a full aspect. Other planets will have 1/4 aspect. So, your statement is not entirely wrong, but it's 1/4 aspect, which we usually ignore. Instead of saying there is an aspect. So, anyway. So, if the 11th Lord is in the 9th house, that person will be fortunate. And fortunate we explained, basically the house of fortune contains a good planet, the planet who gives fulfillment of desires and gains. So there will be gains in the matter of fortune. He will be very fortunate. Chaturaha, why is he skillful though? How do you see skill? What kind of skill is he talking about here? In general, you can see some skills from the 3rd house and also some abilities from the 5th house. Right? If you take the 3rd house here, the 9th Lord is in 7th house. From the 3rd house, the 9th Lord is in the 7th house aspecting the 3rd house. From taking 3rd house as Lagna, 9th Lord is in 7th house aspecting Lagna. So, the 3rd house of some special skills, etc. and taking initiative, that is fortified. And taking the 5th house of abilities, general abilities of the person, scholarship of the person, taking that as Lagna. The 7th Lord is in the 5th house aspect. 7th Lord is in the 5th house, having half aspect on that house, on Lagna. So, basically, both the ways, either trine Lord is in quadrant or quadrant Lord is in trine. So, both with respect to 3rd house and 5th house, this planet is well placed. So, he is somebody who has initiative, somebody who is very skillful, talented, and also very having lot of abilities and scholarship. Satyavadi cha, he is truthful. Why is he truthful?
Because the fulfillment of
Okay, let's take the second house of speech. From that, this planet is basically 10th lord in the 8th house. This is not really showing any good combination. So we are not talking about somebody who is eloquent or articulate or somebody who knows how to express. He may not know how to express himself also, because
Where does the truth come from? Is it not from second house?
second house is the house of speaking. But the truth is not from speaking. Truth is from the sense of right and wrong. If there is, the truth comes from the sense of right and wrong. Right?
So is it 9 from second? 9 from second?
Well, again, that will be the 9 from second is the sense of dharma in truth. So that is a good way to look at it. But the thing is, let us ignore the fact that he said Satyavadi, speaker of truth. Let us see first, is he truthful? Does he have sense of right and wrong? Because for somebody to be truthful, there has to be a sense of right and wrong. So let us see that first. So 9th house, like she said. So if you take the 9th house as Lagna, this planet is third lord in Lagna. So what does it mean? Third lord in Lagna is a good placement or a bad placement? It's a good placement. Somebody who takes initiative relating to 9th house. So in the matter of dharma, he is not only dharmic, he will take initiative to uphold dharma. So basically, in the previous one, it is somebody, in the one of the previous verses, there was a guni word, where it means somebody who has a good sense of right and wrong, sense of proportion. But here, somebody who will actually try to uphold dharma, who can go to some lengths to uphold dharma. That is what we are talking about here.
And secondly, your fulfillment is connected, fulfillment of desire.
Yes, he feels fulfilled through following dharma. 11th house of fulfillment, the Lord is in the 9th house of dharma. So he feels fulfillment of his desires if he follows dharma. So dharma is very important to the person. Now the next verse is Rajapujyaha. He is respected by kings. Why is he respected by kings? Which house shows respect from kings? Which house shows respect from kings? Normally 10th house is the house of respect, honor, etc. Right? But with respect to 10th house, is this planet that great? Just based on this planet. Second lord in 12th, is it a good placement or bad placement? Is second lord in 12th good placement or bad placement?
You say good. But
Why?
being a second lord, he is also Marka, right?
Yeah, right.
Of 10.
But the Marka is in 12th house, so he doesn't really become great Marka. So forget about Marka. In general, second lord in 12th, is it a good placement or bad placement? Good placement or bad placement?
He's supposed to be using his resources, sir. So in one way,
Yes.
depends on what.
It depends on the context. See, second lord in general from Lagna, if second lord is in 12th house, second lord shows wealth. But the 12th house is the house of giving. So the thing is, he will get losses, he will be giving away like that. So from the point of view of wealth, it is not good. But here you are talking about karma. So second house from 10th house is the house of resources for his karma. What basically can be used for his activities. Whatever is there to use for the activities, it has to be used. It has to be put to use. Then only there will be some work done. So in other words, from any house, if the 12th lord, second lord is in 12th house, you are basically putting things to use, the resources of that house to use. So especially in the matter of karma, it is actually a good thing. So somebody who does big karma, that is what it means. So that way he has somebody who is doing good work, big work. So that way he can be Rajapuja, he can be respected by kings. But more importantly, more than 10th house, if you look at the 5th house here, like we said earlier, 5th house is very strong. 5th house is the house of fame, etc. It is not just among kings, but also among general people. So 5th house is the house of fame and following. So from that point of view, that house is much stronger. From the 5th house, the 7th lord is in 5th house. So he will have fame and following, etc. Dhanadibha, why is he wealthy though? Why is he wealthy? How can you say wealth here? Where is wealth coming from here?
Second association.
Hmm?
If we have a second house association.
Yes. From the second house of wealth, this planet is
10th Lord in 8th, sir.
10th Lord in 8th. So, is it good or bad? 10th Lord in 8th.
10th Lord in 8th, not very good placement.
Yeah, it shows somebody who will be in a good position at some point of time, but in general, checkered career. 10th Lord in 8th shows a checkered career, but there will be a period of time when he will have a sudden rise, because 8th house is the house of suddenness. So there will be some sudden rise and he will have some good position, reach a high position at some point of time. But in general, checkered career. That is the meaning of 10th Lord in 8th house.
This is with respect to the second
But
house.
with respect to the second house of wealth, this planet is not that well placed. With respect to wealth, the 10th Lord is in 8th house. So he is not showing. So this is not wealthy in a classical context. He is not a wealthy person. That is not the meaning of Dhanadhipa here. That is why he didn't say Dhani, wealthy, that kind of expression. He said he has some wealth. Dhanadhipa means owner of some wealth. So he is not. He used a different word. It can also mean somebody who has money. Basically, it doesn't necessarily mean wealthy.
What is special actually in that context?
For me.
Why, if it is not anything special, why even that context?
Once again, that's what I am coming to. So what else can it mean? He is saying something with money, but it doesn't seem like this is a combination for great wealth. So what is the possibility? Well, apart from second house, is there any other house which you see for wealth? 9th house is overall fortune, but 11th house is the house of gains, getting money. So 11th Lord is well placed. He is not right. So somebody who has money in circulation. So here, this combination means he is not somebody who has huge bank balance, but he has money in circulation all the time. He doesn't have to look for money. So that is basically what he means by Dhanadhipa. Somebody who has money to rotate it. Basically, he doesn't accumulate lot of money, but he gets what he wants so that he can put it to use. The next verse is 130. Labhe she karma bhavasthe bhupavanjo gudanvitah nija dharmarato dhima satyavadi jitendriyah. Labhe she karma bhavasthe. If the 11th Lord is in the karma house, house of profession, house of actions, the 10th house. Bhupavanjo, he is respected by kings. Gudanvitaha means he has good virtuous. Nijadharmarataha means he is interested in his religion. He promotes his religion. He is religious and works for his religion. Dhiman means intelligent, smart. Satyavadi, truthful. Jitendriyaha means he has control over his senses, indriyas. Okay, now let's parse each of them. Labhe se karma bhavasthe. If the 11th Lord is in the house, 10th house. Bhupavanjaha, he is respected by kings. Why? Why is he respected and honorable? Well, 10th house is the house of honor and respect. The Lord of the house of gains is there, so he will gain some respect and honor in the society.
From 10th is also second Lord in Lagna.
For me?
From 10th is also.
From 10th he is second Lord in Lagna, which is a good placement. Why? What?
Because as a second Lord he will be a Maraka.
Maraka, yes, he is a Maraka also, but he is also the sustainer.
He is also sustainer too.
So the thing is, second Lord can be Maraka, but the thing is that is in the presence of other afflictions, etc. Second Lord is also if he is afflicted, he is the one who cuts off the food, which means gives death. Whereas if he is strong, he is the one who gives food, who feeds you and who makes you strong. Yes.
Benefits are from.
It depends on the afflictions. Is in a friendly place, all those things. But the bottom line is, one possibility is because the second Lord is in Lagna from the 10th house. 10th house is strong. He will do good work. He will have good honor and respect in the society, etc. But why is he Gunanvitaha? Why is he virtuous? How is ninth house? From the ninth house, this planet is third lord of initiative in Dharma, and he is having Argala on Dharma. So like we said earlier, planets with Argala on ninth house will promote Dharma. So he is giving Dharma to the person. So he is Dharmic. Nija Dharma Rataha. Again, he is interested in his religion because the planet has Argala on ninth house. Moreover, his agenda is third from ninth. So basically, initiative with respect to religion. So he will be an activist with respect to religion. Because the planet in the 10th house shows actions. And he is the 11th lord, which is the third from ninth house. So initiative with respect to religion is one of the agendas of the planet. Being in the 10th house, we will make him an activist of religion. So he is a religious activist. Nidharmaratah Dhiman. He is intelligent. Why is he intelligent? Where is intelligence coming from? Why is he intelligent?
Intelligence will come from
Fifth house shows intelligence in general. How is this planet?
also from first house, right? Because
Yes, first house also is the seat of intelligence. Either house. Which, okay. So how is he with respect to fifth house and how is he with respect to Lagna? First see Lagna. With respect to Lagna, this is 11th lord in a quadrant. So that whatever intelligence Lagna shows, that is very strong. So he is basically somebody who is smart, somebody who has good presence of mind, etc. But with respect to fifth house, that is basically the scholarship, knowledge, and also following. He is 7th lord in 6th. Is it good or bad?
not very good.
Why?
It's not very good because he is a 7th lord.
Yeah.
He is in
7th lord, see, fifth house is knowledge and scholarship. 7th lord's agenda is to interact, to engage in interactions relating to knowledge. So 11th lord is very important for scholarship because he shows not just a scholar but somebody who interacts in the matter of knowledge. Somebody who puts his knowledge to use by interacting with people, right? Now he is in the 6th house. Is that good or bad? 6th house is the house of fights and quarrels. Pardon me? It's an upajaya, increase of following, increase of fifth house, increase of knowledge, increase of scholarship. Moreover, 6th house is the house of fights. See, 7th lord in 6th shows interacting and fighting, which is bad in other matters. But when it comes to knowledge, how do you show off knowledge? By fighting with people. Not really fighting means with a sword. You say you disagree and then you show why you disagree, you contest. So, knowledge actually flourishes when there is a contest. So, from that point of view, from the 5th house, always 6th house is very important for putting the knowledge to use by arguing with people. That is why that is the 10th house of actions, activities. Now, 7th lord in 6th in general is bad for relationships because you are fighting. Right? The 7th lord of interactions is in the 6th house of enmity. So, you create enemies. But, in the matter of knowledge, that is a good placement. You basically interact with people in an argumentative way. You basically engage in arguments, intellectual arguments. So, basically that is good for knowledge.
Since it is also good with respect to Lagna, we can say that the arguments are also well put.
He is not a fool, exactly. Also from the house of second house, the house of speech. 10th lord is in the 9th house. So he is an excellent speaker. He knows how to argue in the matters of knowledge. I see.
Very good at arguing with people.
Yeah, I see.
Very intelligently argues.
Very good. Yeah. So here the intelligence is more in the matter of dealing with people, arguing, speaking, etc. More than just having a lot of knowledge, etc. In different charts, different combinations, knowledge comes across in different ways. So here that is the meaning of Dhima. The next one is Satyavadi, truthful. Why is it truthful? Well,
because of Lagna association.
okay. The 9th law, if you take 9th house of Dharma, The planet, the third lord of initiative is in the communications, and initiative is in the second house of speech. So he speaks for dharma. And also he has Argala and dharma. So basically he is a dharmic person. And he is truthful. Jitendriya. Why is he Jitendriya? Jitendriya means one who has control over senses. Why does he have control over senses?
Senses are there from
Huh? Yes. Any control, basically control over senses, you can also say overcoming your weaknesses, right? Overcoming Arshad Varga. So sixth house is the house of, you can look at senses as your enemies. So sixth house is the house. So this planet, so sixth house is your, how well you fight. So with respect to sixth house, this planet is the sixth lord in fifth house. Is it a good place? Sixth lord in the fifth house. Dhimanta Yoga with respect to sixth house. In the matter of overcoming obstacles, overcoming enemies, there is Dhimanta Yoga. Moreover, another thing is apart from sixth house, which in general shows enmities and fights, the quarrels and the wars, the battles you have to fight, 10th house itself also shows the control over Indriyas. 10th house is the house of Indra, Indrasthana. 10th house is called Indrasthana, right? Because, I mean, it is actually a little philosophical. The thing is, the work that you do in the society, when you actually go and do the work, it is basically how you are in the society. 10th house is the center of your being in the society. 7th house is interacting with other people, but 10th house is what puts you amid other people. When you are amid other people, basically, your senses, there are so many inputs coming into your senses, which can make you want something. For example, you may be doing good work, you may be the Prime Minister of a country, you may be the President of a country, and in your White House, she may be attracted to you. Like that, basically, you come across a lot of people. With a strong 10th house, you come in touch with a lot of people. And then they will pose various challenges in terms of kama, in terms of krodha, in terms of lobha, etc. So how you basically resist all that? That is the control over senses. So Indriyas get that name from the word Indra. And Indrasthana is the house of control over Indriyas. So from that point of view also, and also it is the fifth house of Purvapunya with respect to sixth house of overcoming enemies. So 10th house is considered in literature to be an important house for control over Indriyas. Well, you can say, no. 10th house is not really the house of succumbing to Indriyas. It is the house of Indriyas. You can either succumb or you can overcome, either. And here, like you said exactly, the second lord, the Marka, is basically in the 10th house. So there is a good chance, of overcoming the Indriyas.
So once you have stated that a particular house has a particular kama, krodha, lobha, moha.
Yes.
So with respect to each different house, can we see the implication of what?
We can try to, but more than in Rashi, probably in Trimshamsa. Right.
But in general, with respect to 10th house.
In general, when you are looking at the enemies, Shadripus, 6th house is the key house, and when you are looking at the senses, the various senses basically, Jnanendriyas, Jnanas, that is from the 10th house. So senses are from 10th house and Arishad Varga is from 6th house. And as you can see, 6th house is the 9th house from 10th house. So basically, the dharma of senses is to cause weakness. The dharma of the 10th house is 6th house. So the dharma of the senses, the dharma of the Indriyas is to create kama, krodha, lobha, moha. So the thing is, if you see something nice and if you want it, or if you hear somebody praising you, if you hear somebody who is praising you and if you say, oh, I am great, if that is coming, that means they are doing their dharma. You understand what I am saying? The senses are doing their dharma. The senses do their dharma of basically teasing you and challenging you through the Arishad Vargas, through the weaknesses.
So from 1 to 5 you will see from each house which sense is being affected.
It's not that straightforward. So let us just say that the Arishad Vargas are in general seen from the 6th house, and in the Trimshamsa specifically you can take 7 to 12 houses, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those houses, they can show you the 6 specific enemies in the Trimshamsa. And in the Rashi in general, 6th house is the house of Arishad Vargas and how you succumb to them. And also 10th house is in general the house of senses.
It is better to have male 6 in 6th house.
So that you can fight better. Right. So the thing is, in a lot of classical combinations, the 10th house is seen as the house of purity, because this is the Indrasthana. Indra is the king of gods, but also the Indra inside you basically. Indra also falls so frequently. Indra causes pride basically, and he falls. So similarly, the 10th house can show meritorious work, and also it can show fall into the lure of the Indriyas. Now let us go to the next verse. Labhe che labha bhavasthe labha sarveshu karmasu pandityam cha sukham tasya vardhate cha dine dine. This is very straightforward. We will just rush through this. If the 11th Lord is in the 11th house, in all his activities there will be gains. Pandityam cha sukham tasya. He will have excellent scholarship and he will be very happy. Vardhate cha dine dine. It will keep increasing every day. Okay. Now first one, if the 11th Lord is in the 11th house, he will have all gains. In all his activities he will have gains. Well, 11th Lord is in the 11th house, he is very well placed. So he is very profitable and gainful. Pandityam, why does he have scholarship, knowledge? Where is scholarship coming from? 5th house, 7th Lord is in 7th house, aspecting 5th house. So he is very well placed from the 5th house. So he is a good scholar and also interacts in the matter of scholarship.
He will also have a lot of following.
He will have very good following, yes. But why Sukham? Sukham Dasya. Why is he happy? Where Sukham is comfort, happiness. Where? From the 4th house, this is 8th Lord in 8th house. Good placement or bad placement? Good placement. Huh? Wrong. Sarala Yogam. Harsha Sarala Vimala. Okay. So, but bottom line is it's one of those 3 important yogas. So Dusthana Lord in the same Dusthana, so it is very good. It shows excellent growth for the unexpected gains coming for his comforts. So 4th house is very good. Also Lagna, we said earlier, apart from 4th house, you can see from Lagna itself. And from Lagna also, this is 11th Lord having Argala on Lagna. Right? So he is well placed from 4th house as well as from Lagna. So he is very happy. Now the last one is Sukham Tasya, Sukham Tasya Vadhve Dine Dine. His comfort and happiness keeps increasing every day. Well, with the planet being in the 8th house, that's not really surprising. So that is done. Let's go to the last verse. Labhe se vyaya bhavasthe tatkaryeshu vyayas sada kamuko bahupatniko mlecha samsargakarakah. If the 11th Lord is in the 12th house, Labhe se vyaya bhavasthe, if the 11th Lord is in 12th house, tatkaryeshu vyayas sada. In good work, good activities, he keeps spending money always. Kamuko, he is desirous. He has a lot of desires. Bahupatniko, and by the way, the word Kamukaha, earlier I said Kamayuktaha or some word came, I said it doesn't necessarily mean sensual pleasure. In general, somebody who has a lot of desires. But the word Kamuka is used in the context of somebody who desires sensuous pleasures. So that is the meaning of Kamuka. Bahupatnikaha, somebody who has many wives. Mlecha samsarga karakaha, somebody who will associate with mlechas, means foreigners. Somebody who associates with foreigners and people from distant lands. Okay, let's parse each of them. This is also actually reasonably straightforward. Let's parse each of them. No googlies, no tricky ones. If the 11th Lord is in 12th house, why does he have always expenditure in good activities?
Because from Lagna is 11th Lord in 12th.
Yeah. So he has 11th Lord in 12th can show diverting his gains into expenses. So he can give expenditure. right?
Good expenditure.
Why good expenditure?
To 9 crores.
Yeah,
From 9, he is
from ninth house of dharma. Yeah,
third lord in fourth.
third lord in fourth. What about it? Well, being the third lord from ninth, his agenda is he has initiative in the matter of dharma, and being in the fourth house has argala and dharma. So basically, he has something to do with dharma. He will have some strong sense of dharma, and he has some desire to do something for dharma. Desire meaning initiative, some drive to do something for dharma. So because of that, there is a good chance that this is a good expenditure, but not necessarily. It is basically an indirect. Pardon me?
How do you see bad expenditure?
If he happens to be getting into 8th house,
If it is for adharma, if it is for... See, the thing is, yeah, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. How do you see bad expenditure? Well, expenditure can be for... it can be for 8th house, it can be for 6th house. If it is for fighting enemies, etc., you can say it's a bad expenditure. But the thing is, you hit it on the nail. What is a good expenditure and what is a bad expenditure depends on the perspective of the person. And here we are interpreting good expenditure as a dharmic expenditure. That is how we are interpreting. But the thing is, that is just a perspective. And it makes sense. If you interpret it to be dharmic expenditure, it makes sense. But now let us actually interpret it in a different way, because that is possible. It can also mean satkaryeshu can mean good activities, dharmic activities. It can also mean smart expenditure. Basically, it's an investment rather than losing. Instead of spending money on a losing proposition, he spends money on something from which he can gain. Here the 11th lord is in 10th house. So his agenda is to give gain. And then he is in the house of spending. So he will make the person spend, but for a gain later. So this can be a smart investment rather than giving away money.
because 12th house stands for investments also.
12th house stands for investments apart from donating money. So he may not be donating. He may actually be spending money so that tomorrow it will be doubled or tripled. At least he thinks so. So Satkarya can also mean that. But in general, you use the word Satkarya to mean dharmic. Here both make sense. He will spend money on dharmic things as well as he will look at returns on what he is doing. There should be some fulfillment of desire. Maybe not money. He may be spending money, but as a result of it, see, somebody may be giving money for a temple. He may say, I'll give $10,000, construct a temple. But then it may not happen. It may be wasted. This person, he will give $10,000 for the temple, and also he will make sure that it is done, basically. So he will spend money on dharmic activities as well as he will spend money on things which will result in some gains at the end for him. They construct a temple and he goes and he benefits from it. Now the next line is, where are we? Kamukaha. He desires sensuous pleasures. Well, 11th lord shows gains and friends, and 12th house is the house of pleasures in bed. So he has gains in the matter of pleasures in bed. He pursues pleasures in bed a lot. Bahupatni kaha. Bahupatni ko. He has many wives. How do you see many wives? Where does it come from? Why many wives? Well, from the 7th house of wife, he is in Uptaya. He is in Uptaya. What? No, 6th house. Okay.
No, from 7th he is Upachaya in 7th.
From 7th he is in Uptaya in 6th.
Okay.
You are a little getting confused because there are too many.
He is a 5th lord in 6th.
5th lord in 6th. A trine lord in Uptaya. A trine lord, he shows Purvapunya in the matter of wife or wives, and he is in an house of Uptaya, of increase. So there is a chance of accumulating wives. Even though wives are not really accumulated, there is a chance of accumulating wives. Moreover, he desires sensuous pleasures, like we said earlier. He likes pleasures in bed. So there is a chance that he will pursue many women and has many wives. So that is the justification. And the next one is, last one, Mlecha Samsargakarakaha. He will have foreigner friends. Why? 12th house is the house of faraway things associated with foreign countries, living abroad or going abroad, etc., traveling abroad. So 12th house shows foreign things. 11th lord of gains being there means he can gain in the matter of gain from 11th lord, wherever he is, he will make you gain from that. Even in 8th house, he will make you gain from longevity, gain in the matter of longevity. So here he can make him gain. He can't make him gain in the matter of spending, but he can make him gain in the matter of foreign things. So he has foreigner friends. Not only the word he uses is samsarga garaka. He says he will befriend enemies, foreigners, but it also means somebody who will actually gain from foreign things. Not only has friends among foreigners, he will have some gains because of it. So, or it can also mean not necessarily having a foreigner friend. It can mean somebody who does business abroad. It can mean somebody who does business with foreign things, who imports foreign things and does business. All those are possibilities. But the bottom line is, he gains from things that are foreign, things that are far away from his motherland.
Invest in foreign things.
He may invest in foreign things, or he may gain from foreign things. Bottom line is, his gains have something to do with foreign. There is a foreign element to his gains. That is the bottom line. So with that, we are done with BPHS today.
Small question.
Yes, go ahead.
If he is actually trying to pursue many women, then can you actually say that he would spend a lot in dharmic activities? Is there a...
No, that is possible. With respect to 9th house also, he is well placed. With respect to 7th house also, he is in Utsaya. So it is possible that somebody who is dharmic in general, in the matter of religion, so, but he is not dharmic in the matter of women. And as a matter of fact, somebody having some lust and pursuing many women and even having relationship with 10 women, you can't really say he is adharmic. That particular thing is adharmic, but in general, he may be a very dharmic person. For example, Krishna had many wives. I mean, you can't say Kamuka, but he had many wives. So the thing is, somebody may have many wives, but he may still be dharmic. Because the dharma of today's times defines ekapatni vrata as dharma, not having multiple wives as dharma, we take it as a wrong thing. The thing is, a person may have runas with many women. If somebody like, let's say, Shivaji or Akbar or some big king is reborn today, let us say, he will have runa with many people, many people, different kinds of runa with thousands of people, millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people. So the thing is, to fulfill runas, there are many people who want to actually, because he helped so many people in the last life, many people want to come and have a relationship with him, all kinds of relationship, including sexual relationship. So the thing is, for such a person, instead of keeping several relationships to the next life and taking only one relationship to pay back in this life, it may be beneficial to actually go through many relationships and give to many women may have pleased him in the last life. So he may have to please many women in this life if possible. So things like that are there. So the thing is, if you take from that point of view, just having relationship with 10 women is not really a sin. But it is a sin depending on your attitude. If you are not thinking of giving, in general these days in Kali Yuga, people do not think of giving. They only think of taking, whether it's a sexual relationship or a marital relationship. Either way, people only think of taking. They want to basically make themselves, they want to gratify themselves, physically as well as in other ways, emotionally. They want to gratify themselves. So everything becomes self-gratification, especially marriage, any relationship. So from that point of view, if you are using many people to gratify yourself, you can say it's a sin. But if you are using many people to gratify them by taking part in a relationship with them in any way, maybe physical, maybe some other, if your goal is to satisfy them, make them happy, then it's not really an adharma. But still, depending on today's vyavaharika dharma, today's desikala patra, marrying many women is considered adharma. So from that point of view, only adharmic people will cross the bar and do it. So you can say it's called adharma. But the thing is, dharma is a very subtle thing. It is very difficult to judge. So let us just look at 9th house and say, if that is strong, let us say the person is dharmic. Let us not say because he cheats, or because he has enemies, or because he destroys enemies, or because he has many wives. Let us not conclude that he is adharmic. Any other comments, questions? So I'll stop the recording then. We'll go to the second half. We have to start charging.
But they suggested that the dark days.
Okay. So,
The chart I got here, but
okay, before we see the chart, I just want to say a couple of things. Actually, in the break, when I stopped recording, Satish was asking something. I just want to say a thing on it. He was saying basically, when I said the Indriyas are shown from the 10th house, he said basically, he generally talked about people who are blind, who don't have eyes, etc. See, the thing is, when I said 10th house shows Indriyas, I am not talking about the physical senses. For each physical sense organ, there is a different house. There is a second house, third house, like that. Basically, for every sense organ, there is a house. What 10th house shows is not specific physical sense organs. It is basically the overall relationship with your senses. Your relationship with your senses is shown from the 10th house. That is basically what the 10th house shows. That is Indra. Indra is not really your eyes or your ears. Those are shown by different devatas. But Indra shows how you overall master your senses, whether you master your senses or succumb to your senses. That is shown by the 10th house. Now the other thing is, somebody was saying about this so-called doomsday. Apparently there is some talk in India on TV channels about the eclipse that is coming soon being a doomsday scenario, etc. I just want to talk a little bit about that eclipse, and if you want to see, you can come here. Okay, so let us take, see, there is this eclipse. Let us take the eclipse chart for New Delhi, India. The next eclipse. Which version do you have?
7.32.
Okay, there will be, so eclipse start time may be erroneous. You guys should be on Johora and keep updating whenever there is an update. You should have the latest software. Yeah.
3
3 trial versions basically. So I think this is, so it shows basically, if you try to make the chart for the maximum eclipse time, it shows up, but if you make it for the start of the eclipse, which I prefer, it basically, here it shows in the dialog, in this box it shows correctly, July 22, 2009 at 5:33:39 AM. So let's manually feed the data. That shows negative 47. So July, right? 22. What is the time? 5:32?
33:39 అనుకున్నాను సార్.
33:39. That's okay. 1 minute. 5:33:39 AM in New Delhi. So we are making a chart for the start time of the eclipse in India. July 22, 2009, 5:33:39 AM in Indian Standard Time. New Delhi, 77 degrees 12 minutes east, 28 degrees 36 minutes north. So the thing is, first of all, this eclipse has Lagna containing Sun, Moon and Ketu. Basically, at the time of the eclipse, this eclipse is happening around the time Amavasya ends. This is not at the beginning of Amavasya, but at the end of Amavasya. So basically, Sun and Moon are extremely close. Ketu is at 6 degrees in Cancer, Sun is at 5.5 degrees in Cancer, and Moon is at 4 degrees in Cancer. So Sun, Moon and Ketu are within 2 degree range. There is a 2 degree orbit in which Sun, Moon and Ketu, everybody is there. Moreover, Lagna is also there. That is the tricky point for India especially. Lagna is at 4 degrees. Cancer 4 degrees. So Lagna is actually, actually at the time, Moon has just risen and Sun is about to rise at the time of eclipse. So this is a very interesting eclipse. This is definitely not a good time for India. This eclipse does not foretell good things for India. It shows interesting things. Moreover, look at Sun. If I remember right, he is in Mrityubhaga. If you look for planets in Mrityubhaga, Sun is in Mrityubhaga. He is 0.14 degree from the Mrityubhaga. So basically, the 6th degree is the Mrityubhaga for Sun in this sign. So he is at the middle, pretty much in the middle of the Mrityubhaga. So Sun is in Mrityubhaga, and he is also the second lord in Lagna. Second lord is Marka. Second lord Marka in Lagna in Mrityubhaga, afflicted by Ketu. And also he is with third lord. Second and third lords being together is not really good. And moreover, the 7th and 8th lord Saturn, who is a Maraka, he is in the second house. So he is in Marakasthana. So all these indications, and the 8th lord Rahu is in the 7th house. There are strong Maraka influences on this chart. It is basically showing some loss of life within the next couple of months from this eclipse. Some big loss of life is being indicated in this eclipse chart. So it is not really a, from all these points of view, this is not really a good eclipse. But the thing,
When you say it is from
you were actually talking on the phone and we covered all those points. The 7th and 8th lords Saturn, Maraka. 7th and 8th lord Saturn is Maraka. He is in the second house of Marakasthana. The second lord Sun is in Lagna with the third lord. Second and third lords are together, and they are afflicting Lagna lord and Lagna. And the second lord Sun, who is a Maraka in Lagna, he is in Mrityubhaga. He is in his death inflicting degree. And 8th lord Rahu is in 7th house. The other 8th lord Rahu is in the 7th house. So basically both the 8th lords are in Marakasthana, either 2nd or 7th. So there is strong Maraka influence in this particular chart. The only blessing is 8th house of longevity has Jupiter in it, 9th lord Jupiter. So the thing is, it doesn't show a big, it's not terrible, but the thing is Jupiter is there, Jupiter's blessings are there. But in general, there is some turmoil. Moreover, Sun is the planet of politics, etc. His being in Lagna, even though elections have just finished, so there is no chance of any turmoil right now because elections are barely done, just a couple of months back. So there isn't any chance. But the thing is, when Sun is so badly afflicted, there is some chance of some political turmoil or some,
our political king may be murdered because
yes, some assassination of a big political leader or something like that is strongly being indicated. Some political bad event is very likely after this eclipse. Another thing that is really making people edgy is there are 3 eclipses. There is a lunar eclipse, followed by a solar eclipse, followed by one more lunar eclipse. This sequence of eclipses, 3 eclipses with solar eclipse in the middle, a complete solar eclipse in the middle is significant. It is not very common. At the same time, it is not very rare. It happens several times. It happened several times in the past. It will happen several times again. But the thing is, so it's not just the fact that there are 3 eclipses. You have to see what is going on in each eclipse. But historically, if you look at the ancient history, in Mahabharata, Vyasa described 3 eclipses like this. He said that there was a lunar eclipse, and then there was a solar eclipse, and then again there was a lunar eclipse. At the time Mahabharata started. So Mahabharata war started at such a time. And secondly, 36 years after Mahabharata war started, I think around 36 years later, Vyasa described that there was another sequence, same sequence, 3 eclipses coming in a row, and then that is when the city of Dwarka basically went under the sea. There was a big tsunami, and Dwarka went under the sea. There was a big disaster in India. So basically the whole Yaduvamsha, the lineage of Krishna, was basically, most of it was destroyed in that tsunami or whatever. Basically Dwarka going under the Arabian Sea. So the thing is, this kind of 3 eclipses coming in a row can portend something, but the thing is, those are two examples. Dwarka going under the sea and Mahabharata. It doesn't happen every. If you look at the last 100 years, this happened several times, and a few of those times there was a world war. But the thing is, not every time this happened there was a problem. But the thing is, compared to other times when this happens, the probability of something bad is higher. It's not really, probability is not 1 or 0.8 or 0.7. It is basically higher. Instead of things that are normally 1 over million, that have a probability of 1 over million, probably have a 1 over 100 probability of happening when this kind of things happen. But that is not reason to actually predict. So
sequence that is causing this, or is it the planets involved that's causing
it's not only the sequence, at the time where the planets are, and at the exact eclipse times where the planets are. What is the Lagna rising, where the planets are, whether any planets are afflicting any planet, how close they are. Here, unfortunately, like I said, Sun, Moon and Ketu are very close. They are in the same Navamsha, and Sun is in Mrityubhaga, like I said earlier. Unfortunately, not only that, in the Navamsha also they are all in the same Navamsha. So they are all so close that Navamsha also. And moreover, Lagna is rising. Lagna is in the same, Lagna is close to them. So Moon has just risen, and sun is just about to rise at the time this happens, at the time the eclipse starts in India. So basically sunrise will happen during eclipse. So this is, I'm pretty convinced that this is a bad eclipse for India. It portends evil events, but the thing is to go to the extent of saying doomsday is unjustified. And secondly, I just want to make one more comment. Sun being in Lagna with Ketu, the 12th Lord Mercury, Sun and Lagna Lord Moon being together in Lagna with Ketu is also good for spiritual things. Because Ketu is Mokshakarka, Mercury is 12th Lord here, Moksha Sthanadipati. And Sun in general shows Dharma. So this eclipse can also bring some big events for spiritual renaissance in the world and especially in India. So from the spiritual point of view, this is a good eclipse. And in general, I want to make one more comment. We said that Mahabharata war happened at the time of the 3 eclipses, right? Also, you can also say, yes, Mahabharata war happened and great destruction took place. Also, Bhagavad Gita was taught. So Bhagavad Gita was actually taught very close to the solar eclipse day. So this particular solar eclipse is actually conducive for spiritual progress. So in my opinion, forget whatever happens. We have no reliable means to predict exactly what will happen. But the thing is, there is a reason to believe that there won't be a doomsday, because if you look at the lunar eclipse charts, they are not that bad. Only the solar eclipse chart is bad, and also even in this chart there are redeeming factors. So it's not really that terrible. So and in any case, people who believe in these doomsday scenarios, they have a view that also there is actually another point of view that in 2012 world is going to end. There is what is it called, apocalypse, or there are certain views. But the thing is, in our belief, in the belief of rishis, in the Veda Dharma, there is nothing called apocalypse. There is dharma which walks with 1 leg at a time, 2 legs at a time, 3 legs at a time, 4 legs at a time, and so on. So there are ups and downs in dharma, and we are going through a phase in time called Kali Yuga where dharma is at the lowest. But the thing is, just like Antardashas and Mahadashas, there can be ups and downs within the same period. So the thing is, it is possible that within Kali Yuga we are entering a phase, or we have just entered a phase, or we are just about to enter a phase where dharma will increase a little bit. Where for all you know, rishis may say, hey, the Kali has come too fast. If we do nothing, basically in another 50 years, Earth is going to become extinct. The way they have changed Earth's atmosphere, etc., Earth can just go away, vanish. We should not let it happen. So let us put some brakes. So something like that can happen. So that kind of things we can reconcile with. But apocalypse, doomsday, world ending, those things are silly. Those things will not happen for another 428,000 years. So we can reject that notion. But this is an eclipse that should cause some concern. But don't worry about that. Just use this as an opportunity. I would strongly suggest meditating during that time, or doing some ritual for spiritual progress during that time. And I just want to say one more thing. Normally at the time of eclipse, temples are closed. They don't do any pujas, etc. So the thing is, for dharmic activities, this is not a good time. So any activities done for dharma, they should be stopped. But any activities that are done for moksha, this is actually very conducive time. Not only because of Ketu, but like I said, actually those of you who read the astrological magazine, there is a electronic version of the astrological magazine now at astrologicalmagazine.com. They restarted it, but in the electronic form. So I just wrote a small note. They asked me to write a small note on the eclipses. There I wrote, see, the thing is, sun and moon are the eyes of Paramapurusha. If you take the cosmic being, if you take this whole universe as a person, if you personify this whole creation, that is what Purushottam and Narayan Suttam are extolling, right? So for that Purusha, Paramapurusha, the cosmic being, sun and moon are the 2 eyes. In other words, if you look at microcosmically, if you look at yourself as a Paramapurusha, because if you realize yourself as a Paramapurusha, you are Paramapurusha. And also there is a microcosm of Paramapurusha within you. So sun and moon, they are the soul and the mind. Why are they the eyes? Because it is through the individual soul and the individual mind that your consciousness, which is ideally infinite consciousness, but limited to a particular entity and looking at the duality of the world. So your soul and your mind are the eyes through which you see the world. If they are closed for a while, temporarily, if your individual soul and individual mind are shut down, they are blocked completely, then what will happen? There is no individuality. Your individuality is overcome. You realize your true self. That is basically when you go into samadhi. So from that point of view, Rahu and Ketu afflicting sun and moon is not really, Mokshakarka afflicting sun and moon is not really bad for sadhana. It can give you moksha. And I don't know if I pointed out, when we were discussing Durgdasha examples, I gave an example when Ramakrishna Paramahansa experienced Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is basically complete going away of individual mind. Individual self, and individual self doesn't exist anymore. You are just Atman, Brahman. So when he reached the stage, if you look at the Durgdasha, Dasha Pravesha Chakra of that year, of the Dasha, there was sun and moon were, I believe, in Aquarius axis or something, some axis they were on, and Rahu and Ketu were on the same axis. So there was an eclipse being caused of sun and moon by Rahu and Ketu in the Dasha Pravesha Chakra. So anyway, I have found that Rahu Ketu influence on sun and moon is actually good for overcoming this duality. But at the same time, as long as you are in duality, as long as your sun and moon are alive, they are active, they make you see different things. Seshu, Satish, like this, room, picture, like that, you see different things. As long as you are in duality, you have a dharma. Duality expects certain things from you. So doing what nature is expecting from you is your dharma. And from that point of view, sun and moon are important. So to do your dharma in the duality, sun and moon are useful and Rahu and Ketu are obstructions. But from the point of view of merging in non-duality, leaving your individual dual self, sun and moon are problems and Rahu and Ketu are the solutions. So it's the opposite from the duality point of view and the non-duality point of view. So bottom line is, if you do a ritual as a daily ritual or as your dharma, if you are doing something for dharma, then this is not really a good time. That is what temples do. Temples are not for moksha. Temples are for doing the dharma, doing collective dharma of the society, so that people do their job better. So temple activities naturally are blocked during this time. But if you want to meditate or even do a homam or any ritual for that matter, with your only goal being spiritual progress and spiritual evolution, then this is some shastras say 1,000 times more powerful than regular time. So, and especially this eclipse, in my opinion, is a very powerful eclipse. Like I said, this is the middle eclipse of a 3 eclipse sequence, just like at the time of Bhagavad Gita transmission. So this is a very good eclipse, so do meditate at this time. So except that I don't really have any other comments. We'll see what time reveals, what will unfold, but something will happen in India. That is my feeling. Now we'll see. I'll actually stop and read.